everyone. Welcome to this edition of the Pro Wrestling Show presents the Raw Ring Report. I'm your host, as always, Kendra Dix here. Glad you can join us here on Raw, on the Raw Ring Report, here on the Pro Wrestling Show. Join in the conversation using the hashtag Pro Wrestling here on Connect. And don't forget to subscribe. Subscribing is caring. Tell a friend, call a friend, hit that subscribe button so you won't miss a thing. Thanks again, everyone, for joining us here on the Pro Wrestling Show. As you see right here, tonight, Monday Night Raw was eclipsed with a main event of the ages, as Damage Control defending their women's tag team championships against Lita and Becky Lynch. Yes, Lita and Becky Lynch gets opportunity for the women's tag team goal. What a way. Can they do it? All right. What a show we have for you as well coming up here on the Pro Wrestling Show, as well as Brock Lesnar sits down with MVP. Brock Lesnar MVP. Well, with Brock Lesnar self Omos challenge, we'll get a run through on that. Did the Beast Incarnate do what he needed to do in order to get himself a match against MVP? We'll talk about it coming up as well as the Empress of Tomorrow, Asuka, went against Carmella. Carmella, the Princess of Staten Island. Carmella always in some little way somehow. I hope Carmella knows what she's getting herself into when she's dealing with Asuka. Remember, these women were the last two women at Elimination Chamber, if you can recall, when Asuka at the time, we can show that right here, Asuka punched her ticket to go to WrestleMania to meet Bianca Belair for the Raw Women's Championship. So there's a lot going on right there. So we ain't gonna waste no time here on the Raw Ring Report. Let's get started. All right. We kick things off on Raw with the challengers for the Women's Tag Team Championship. Becky Lynch and Lita entering the arena. These two women have a goal in mind. They want to be Women's Tag Team Champions. And Becky Lynch and Lita came together. I'm surprised Seth went with her during that time, but I guess they were trying to make it seem like for that tonight. Lita and Becky Lynch eyeing to be women to win the women's tag team crown. Could they do so? We'll stick around to it later on in the show, and we'll tell you what had happened. Also, too, Kevin Owens, he got revenge on his mind. Kevin Owens wants to take down the bloodline, as we know that a couple weeks ago, at least 2 weeks ago, at Elimination Chamber, KO reunited with Sami Zayn to help Sami take care of some business. But they didn't reunite at that time. But you know, KO looking for vengeance over the bloodline, and KO wanted some vengeance on what had happened. And KO did get some vengeance on what the bloodline did. Kevin Owens, we know that next week Kevin Owens will go against Solo Sikoa next week on Raw, and that's going to be an interesting match to show. To see Solo Sikoa and Kevin Owens next week on Raw. That's going to be a barn burner if you ask me. That's going to be one of the matches. But we'll get to that coming up a little bit shortly coming up. As well as what else happened? The Street Profits. The Street Profits was in action. This is where the Street Profits came out there. We know Montez Ford is going to get some shine after what Montez Ford did in the Elimination Chamber for the U.S. Championship. Montez Ford had suffered that curve stomp, but he's okay. But it was a little bit scary at times at first. But Montez Ford suffered that scary curve stomp and stuff. But we know Seth Rollins, what's going on with him. But we'll talk about that coming up a little bit later on the show, what had happened. Montez Ford, I think they took on the Maximum Male Models. I think, yeah, they took on the male models, but as the Maximum Male Models were watching on, trying to recruit Otis into being in the group. I don't think Otis. We saw that Maxine Dupree was trying to make a play for Otis and his services. Maxine Dupree even offered Otis recruitment to be in the group. I don't think Otis kind of like doesn't he doesn't know. Even Chad Gable was trying to speak on behalf of Otis. Otis kind of a little bit smitten. I don't think Otis. Who knows? Otis be put up in places that many people don't even realize that were places. But Otis could be a member of Maximum Male Models if Maxine Dupree has her way. And Maxine Dupree, she's a woman of distinct taste, and she kind of knows what she wants, and she kind of sees what she wants, and she sees it in Otis. I don't see it, but hey, if she can make Otis into a star, that's good for her. Good for her brand and stuff. We got to wait and see on what's going on. Also, too, Chad Gable was in action against Cody. Cody won his match over Chad Gable, and Cody had a direct message for Roman Reigns. Cody Rhodes saying that he wants to come to SmackDown this Friday, where he knows Roman Reigns will be, and we will get that confrontation. Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns will both be on SmackDown. We don't know what kind it's gonna be. It's gonna be a confrontation. The main event at WrestleMania for the undisputed championship, Cody Rhodes versus Roman. These two men will meet, and they will meet coming up shortly. However that may be. So hey, we'll have to wait and see on that. On Cody Rhodes and Roman, I'm looking forward to seeing that. Cody Rhodes from Raw. Even even Paul Heyman had a lot to say about that. I think Paul Heyman got to worry about his client Roman. Now won't try to worry about nothing else. Try to figure out what's next for Roman and how Roman's gonna partake in this. I'm telling you right now. It's gonna be good. Like Booker T like to say. Good. Shuck it duck duck quack quack. It's gonna be good. So we're gonna look for that coming up. Also too, Bobby Lashley won his match over he had a match against somebody tonight, but he won his match as well. Lashley ain't wasting no time. Even got confronted. He said about Bray Wyatt. He doesn't care about Bray Wyatt. You know this is gonna be a match between these two, Bobby Lashley and Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania. I thought it was gonna be a swerve between Lashley versus Lesnar one more time, but that's not gonna happen. The plans have changed, and Bobby Lashley now turns his attention to Bray Wyatt. And Bray Wyatt trying to mess with Bobby, calling the Muscle Man. Then I really thought he was gonna show something else, with Bobby Lashley just bent over and did his butt or something. But who knows? But Lashley engaged in a program with Bray Wyatt. Now the interesting part about we told you that Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar, they were supposed to. I thought they were gonna have a match at WrestleMania, but those plans have changed super bad. Well, that's the match I wanted to see, but that's not gonna happen. Bobby's gonna focus attention on Bray, as Bray did say that he's gonna take whoever wins between Brock and Bobby, he's gonna focus on them. So we got an answer that Bray Wyatt and Lashley at WrestleMania, if unofficially not yet. Well, Brock Lesnar came out there and he wanted to know from MVP, after MVP had called him out last week about a challenge that almost. Well, it didn't make no sense if the Mighty Giant didn't show up and try to attack Brock. They just want to put Brock, the F5, that big mother, you know what? Like Lashley did almost last year WrestleMania. They wanted him to do something. They always put almost against these giants and he always loses. I mean, he the losingest giant gonna be. He lost to Lashley last year, and now this year he gonna lose to Brock. Well, Brock Lesnar sent out the message across to um you know MVP is Omar's manager, and MVP even accidentally spat at Brock Lesnar, spat at him, left him out laying. Brock Lesnar did the F5 on MVP, even sent the message here to MVP that hey, you're gonna get what's coming to you. And Bobby Lashley and not Brock Lesnar and will meet um Almost at WrestleMania 1-on-1. I mean, the two big giants, one of the two big giants, it's just a match that Brock Lesnar gonna win. Plain and simple against Almost. You know how they be. Well, we were waiting to see what the Miz's WrestleMania announcement was. It was no secret. The Miz, no, I knew this was from the jump. The Miz is going to officially host WrestleMania, and he's the right person to host it. So the Miz getting this just do hosting WrestleMania. He went from main event WrestleMania to now hosting WrestleMania, and that's mighty impressive. But Miz came out there, but Seth Rollins, the Seth Rollins came out there. If we can show what Seth Rollins did, Seth Rollins tried to call out Logan Paul and the Miz and wanted Logan Paul's number, and Miz had the number, and Seth Rollins got in touch with Logan Paul, and these two men next week will have a face to face. These two men will air out their grievances and their differences. So we know Seth Rollins and Logan Paul will have a face to face. However, that's going to be. So we'll see how that's going to go next week between them two. Speaking of WrestleMania implications, Austin Theory, the United States champion, says that he's going to call out John Cena next week in Cena's hometown of Boston. We know Austin Theory says he's going to be in town and going to call out John Cena. John Cena will return next week on Raw from Boston. John Cena, the leader of the C Nation, comes back home to Boston, comes back home to WWE, and likely will meet Theory for the United States Championship. So we'll see that. Speaking of more WrestleMania challenges, Finn Balor issued a challenge to take on Edge. Finn Balor wants Edge, so he challenged Edge to a match at WrestleMania. Will Edge accept? Only time will tell. We know the Rhea Ripley will be in the match at WrestleMania for the Women's Championship on SmackDown against Charlotte. We know it's rumor report that Dominic may go against his father, Ray, but you might have to put Damian Priest and have Ray and Bad Bunny. So that's a rumor report match as well. So a lot of matches are being set to the ground and coming up for WrestleMania. Even Oscar, we said about Finn Balor as well. What he challenge is, but we'll have to wait and see. Even Oscar, she came out there with the scary makeup, scary Sherry look. Oscar out there. Oscar went against Carmella, and Carmella tapped out from Oscar. Bianca Belair came out there to confront Oscar. Bianca Belair saying that she wants to go toe to toe with Oscar. Montez Ford is one lucky man. I'll tell you that right now. Montez Ford is one lucky man. So we know that Oscar will take on Bianca Belair, but Bianca Belair also did a little spoof of Titanic with her husband Montez. They're spoofing the 1997 classic Titanic. Montez Ford and Bianca Belair spoofing Titanic. Pay homage to Titanic, so great to them. Also, too, Candice LeRae was in action as well. Candice LeRae being stalked by Nikki Cross. Candice took on Piper Niven. She lost to Piper Niven, and we don't know where this is gonna go. Only time will tell on that. So we'll have to wait and see on that one. Also, too, Candice's husband, Johnny Gargano, will be in action next week. Johnny Gargano was slated to do an interview with Brian Saxton, but he got interrupted by Finn Balor in the Judgment Day. Finn Balor issued a challenge against Gangaro next week. It kind of reminds you of NXT about a couple of years ago. Man, was that damn long? So we know next week. We know next week that Johnny Gangaro, Johnny Wrestling takes on Finn Balor, the Prince. Next week on Raw, this should be an instant classic. Kind of reminds you of Kurt Angle and Chris Benoit. There are two Mac technicians in the ring, and they want to get the job done in the ring. So we'll get to see that next week on Raw. Also, was the main event. The main event of the evening was well, not that one, but we'll get to the main event of the evening was not Trish, but Damage Control with Bayley defending the women's tag team titles against Becky Lynch and Lita. Becky Lynch and Lita were at odds last year, but they made up and put their differences to the side. But Becky Lynch and Lita want that tag team championship gold. Lita wants the crown one more time, wants the gold. And this was a match that Lita deservedly so did. Lita went against Damage Control in the last minute of the match. Trish Stratus. The Trish Stratus returned out of nowhere and came and did her thing. Trish Stratus came and helped Lita and Becky Lynch win the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships. Lita and Trish reunited. The Attitude Era. Becky Lynch and Lita now Women's Tag Team Champions and the WrestleMania with the gold. So congratulations to Becky Lynch and Lita for this remarkable feat, winning the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship. We can show it. If we can show, we're trying to show it right quick. So Becky Lynch and Lita are now the official women's tag team champions. There have been rumors and reports that they could be taking on Ronda and Shayna. If those are the reports, we knew that Becky Lynch wanted to go against Ronda, but maybe now this time it'll be in a tag team match. But congratulations to Lita and Becky Lynch winning the WWE Women's Tag Team title. So congratulations. All right. We tell you the rundown what's going on next week. Next week, Kevin Owens will take on Solo Sikoa next week in a battle. Kevin Owens wants to show that the bloodline is going to be weak, and we have to wait and see on that. Plus two, Raw Women's Champion Bianca Belair takes on Carmella next week. Carmella will be in the mix of everything this week if you think about it. Plus, Logan Paul and Seth Rollins face to face. The confrontation that many people thought that wasn't going to happen will happen next week on Raw. John Cena returns to Boston. He returns to Monday Night Raw in his hometown, Boston. With John Cena, will he be confronted by United States champion Austin Theory? The time is that. So we're gonna leave that. We're gonna leave you with the new women's tag team champions Becky Lynch and Lita being crowned women's tag team champions. Congratulations to Becky Lynch and Lita on this historic feat. So, for me being Kendrick Diggs, saying so long and thank you for watching the Pro Wrestling Show. We'll see you tomorrow with the NXT Ring Report. See you then.